An 85-foot gray boat sits at a Navy dock. It looks small next to big warships, but what is inside this boat will surprise you. This boat costs $15 million. It can hit 45 knots in just seconds. It carries remote chain guns and can fire missiles from the deck. The Navy built only 12, and each one is strong enough to control shallow water. Step inside the Mark 6 patrol boat. See the bright screens. Hear the loud engines. Watch the weapons lock on targets. This is not a small helper boat. This is a coastal hunter made for fast fights. From 2016 to 2019, these boats guarded the Arabian Gulf and the Pacific. In 2018, one boat traveled 500 miles without stopping, and even in 2025, other countries want to buy them. This video shows the full inside tour of the Mark 6. The cockpit, the engines, the guns, the speed, the missions, fast, armed, unstoppable. Walk through the armored door into the Mark 6's control room. Bright digital screens glow blue and green on every side. This is where the captain controls every system on the boat. The cockpit feels like a fighter jet. The radar shows enemy boats far away. The cameras show everything around the ship. Every sailor sits in a shock seat that protects their body in rough waves. The Mark 6 carries up to 18 people. The screens connect to satellites, drones, and other Navy boats. The shock seats keep the crew safe when the boat turns fast at high speed. It feels like a video game room. You see danger on the screens before you see it outside. One button fires a weapon, and another button talks to a helicopter above. But screens are not everything. Under the floor, two huge diesel engines wait to start. And when they start, the whole boat feels like a missile on water. What happens when 2,000 horsepower wakes up? How fast can an 85-foot boat really go? The engine room is about to show you. Climb down the ladder into the engine room. Two huge MTU diesel engines sit side by side like sleeping giants. The engineer hits the start button, and the whole room shakes. The engines roar louder than a jet taking off. Hot air rises from the metal walls. The floor vibrates under your boots as power builds. Each MTU engine makes 1,000 horsepower. Together they push water through the water jets at the back. The Mark 6 hits 35 knots without trying. Push harder, and it hits 45 knots. It feels like riding a speedboat with two race car engines. Most Navy ships move at 20 knots. This boat jumps to double that speed in just a few seconds. Speed is important in shallow water. You must move fast to escape danger or catch threats. But speed alone does nothing if you cannot fight back. The Mark 6 is small, but its weapons make it dangerous. This 85-foot boat can fire enough rounds to stop boats 10 times bigger. So what weapons does a boat this size carry? How does something this small become heavily armed? The gun turrets are about to show you. Two gray turrets sit on the Mark 6, one in the front and one in the back. Inside each turret is a 25mm chain gun controlled from inside the boat. No sailor stands outside. Everything works with cameras and joysticks. The gunner sits in a safe armored room. He watches a screen that shows the ocean around the boat. He moves the joystick, and the turret moves the same way. He presses a button, and 180 rounds per minute fire from the gun. The AMC-38 Mod 2 shoots 25mm explosive rounds. It can hit small boats, helicopters, and land targets up to 2 miles away. The computer helps track moving targets, so the gunner only needs to aim and fire. It feels like playing a video game, but the bullets are real. The gunner stays safe inside. The enemy outside does not, and this is only the first weapon. The Mark 6 also carries 50 caliber machine guns, grenade launchers, and even miniguns. It can also be upgraded to fire-guided missiles, but speed makes shooting harder. What happens when the boat turns at 40 knots? How does the Mark 6 stay steady while firing? The water jets are about to show why this boat turns like nothing else. Most boats use propellers that spin in the water, but the Mark 6 uses water jets, like huge fire hoses pointed backward. The captain turns the wheel, and the boat slides sideways in seconds. Imagine driving a car that can drift like a race car. The Mark 6 does that on water. It can go backward fast. It can spin all the way around in one quick move. The water jets push out high-pressure streams from the back. Inside the jets, small metal flaps called steering vanes move left and right. These vanes change the water flow and make the Mark 6 turn really sharp, sharper than boats with propellers. It feels like steering a remote control boat with perfect control. You can dodge bullets, you can chase fast boats, and you can move in shallow water where big Navy ships would get stuck. The Mark VI can go into rivers, tight harbors, and close to the shore. But speed and sharp turns mean nothing if the boat cannot take a hit. One bullet could stop a normal boat. That is why the Mark VI is covered in armor plating. How does an 85-foot speedboat survive machine gun fire? What protects the crew inside? The answer is the ballistic armor built into the walls. Run your hand along the side of the Mark VI. It does not feel like thin metal. It feels thick, strong, and solid because the boat is covered in composite armor. Bullets hit the hull and bounce off. The crew knows their speed is the first thing that keeps them safe. But if they cannot escape an attack, the armor keeps them alive. The cockpit, the engine room, and the sleeping areas are all protected with heavy plating. The Mark VI uses ballistic armor that stops bullets and flying metal. Important places like the control room and fuel tanks have extra layers. Even the windows are bulletproof glass, thick, clear, and strong. It is like wearing body armor while driving a race car. You are fast enough to avoid danger, but if something hits you, you still survive. The armor keeps the crew safe. But the Mark VI's most surprising feature is not the armor or the guns. It is the hidden mission bay on the back of the boat. What can you launch from the back of a patrol boat? What secret tools does the Mark VI carry? The aft deck is about to show you something powerful. Walk to the back of the Mark VI. You see a wide, flat deck. It looks empty, but only until the mission begins. Then this deck becomes a launch platform. Special forces teams sit here before going into enemy areas. Small drones lift off from the deck to look far ahead. Underwater robots drop into the ocean to search for mines and hidden dangers. The aft deck can launch small raiding boats. It can send up aerial drones to watch the sea from above. It can release underwater vehicles to look for submarines or bombs. It is like having a toolbox that changes for each mission. Need to board a ship? Launch the raiders. Need to see far away? Send up a drone. But the most dangerous mission happens when the Mark VI must board a hostile ship. This job is called VBSS, Visit, Board, Search, and Seizure. And it happens while both boats are moving fast. What happens when the Mark VI chases a smuggler? How do sailors jump from one moving boat to another? VBSS is about to get extreme. The Mark VI sees a strange boat trying to escape. The captain shouts the order. The engines get loud. The Mark VI speeds forward and gets closer and closer. In just minutes, it is right beside the enemy boat. Sailors stand on the deck with rifles ready. The Mark VI stays right next to the target, moving at the same speed. Then the boarding team makes the jump. They land on the enemy ship's deck and take control. VBSS means visit, board, search, and seizure. The Mark VI uses its high speed to catch boats that are trying to run. Its guns give cover so the boarding team can move safely. It is like a police chase. The police car pulls next to the criminal's car, but here both boats are moving at 30 knots on the open ocean, and the sailor has to jump from one moving boat to another. VBSS shows something big. The Mark VI is not only fast and armed, it can also do missions that bigger ships cannot. But in 2018, the Navy pushed it even harder. How far can an 85-foot boat really go? What happens when it travels 500 miles without stopping? The endurance test was about to prove everything. In 2018, the Navy gave the Mark VI a big challenge. It told the boat to travel 500 miles without stopping. Most patrol boats stay close to land, but this time the Mark VI had to go far into the open ocean and prove it could survive on its own. The crew knew this trip tested everything: fuel, engines, navigation, even their own strength. If anything failed, the whole Mark VI program could be in danger. The Mark VI holds enough fuel to travel over 600 miles. So the boat left the harbor and kept moving mile after mile. Hours passed. The engines stayed strong. The system stayed stable. The crew stayed focused. And the Mark VI completed the entire 500-mile trip with no breakdowns. It is like driving a small sports car across 3 states without stopping. Everyone expects it to run out of gas halfway, but instead it reaches the finish line with gas still left in the tank. This test proves something huge. The Mark VI is not just a small harbor boat. It can protect convoys, support special forces, and travel long distances alone. But there is a mystery. If this boat is so good, why did the Navy stop at only 12 boats? The reason has nothing to do with performance. It has everything to do with money and strategy. The Navy first wanted 48 Mark VI patrol boats, but by 2021, only 12 were made. Not because the boat was bad, but because the Navy chose to spend money on other things. The Mark VI proved itself many times. It patrolled the Arabian Gulf. It protected bigger ships. It chased enemy boats. It passed every mission. But the problem was simple. It cost too much to maintain. Each Mark VI costs about $15 million to build. But the yearly repair costs were also high. The Navy decided to focus on bigger ships and unmanned drones, which fit its new strategy. It is like buying a super fast car. It drives great. It never fails. But fixing it costs so much that you finally say, we need something cheaper. But the story does not end there. Even though the US stopped building them, the Mark VI is still in service, and many other countries are now asking to buy it. They want the speed, the guns, and the power the US already tested. So who wants the Mark VI in 2025? And what happens to a deadly patrol boat when the Navy no longer needs it? The next part shows why the Mark VI is still winning. As of 2025, some Mark VI boats are still working in the US Navy. Others are being sold to friendly countries that need fast boats to protect their coasts. These nations watched how the Mark VI performed, and now they want it. The Mark VI may not be the US Navy's next big project, but for smaller navies, it is perfect. It is fast, it is heavily armed, and it already proved itself in real missions. The Mark VI can go into shallow water where big warships cannot enter. It can race at 45 knots while firing guided weapons. This makes it one of the best coastal defense boats in the world. It is like a race team selling their best car. The original team may want bigger machines now, but the car is still a champion, and other teams want it because it wins. The Mark VI showed the world that small boats can fight hard, that speed is a weapon, and that you don't need a giant ship to control the sea. So what does the Mark VI teach us about modern naval battles? And what legacy does an 85-foot boat leave behind? The answer changes how coastlines will be defended forever. The Mark VI patrol boat is not just fast and powerful. It shows that you do not need to be the biggest ship to win. You only need to be smart, quick, and built for the mission. People used to think small boats were weak. They thought only huge warships mattered. But the Mark VI proved them wrong again and again. Speed, strong weapons, and smart design. That is what gives real power. And the Mark VI has all three. From the bright cockpit screens to the roaring engines to the spinning gun turrets, every part of this boat was made to control shallow water with pure force and speed. We promise to take you inside America's $15 million patrol boat. You saw the cockpit, the engines, the guns, the missions. Fast, armed, unstoppable. Every promise delivered. So the next time someone says small boats are not important, show them the Mark VI. Because this 85-foot hunter changed the game forever. The Mark VI may not be the main Navy boat anymore, but it showed the world how strong a small patrol boat can be. And in 2025, other countries still want it, because it works. You just went inside America's $15 million Mark VI. You saw the cockpit, heard the engines, and watched the weapons move. Fast, armed, unstoppable. This is how you control shallow water. If this tour impressed you, hit like and subscribe. Share this with anyone who loves powerful Navy boats. Turn on notifications. More secret Navy tech is coming. Now tell me in the comments, what surprised you most? The speed, the turrets, or the boarding missions? And do you think the Navy should have built all 48 boats?